Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the August 19, 2013 Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area MAPS School Trust special meeting.
Move approval.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We'll vote. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the Suburban School District application for funding. This is to approve application of funding for Mustang Public School District, property for an event center at Mustang High School, and the amount is $325,000. Lance?
This application has been reviewed by staff and it meets all the requirements, and we recommend its approval.
Any questions by the trust? If not,
I will make the motion.
Thank you. Second. It's been moved. Second. We'll vote. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the financial reports. Item A is to approve Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area School Trust Revenue and Obligation Report for June 2013, and the next item is to ratify the MAPS Area Schools Trust payments. Thanks.
There's revenues this month total $128,635. It's $103,000 in other revenue. We did the annual transfer that we do from the sales tax fund, the dedicated sales tax fund, into the trust to pay for the public relations contract with the Gooden Group. We've done that every year. And then there was another $3,453 in reimbursements from suburban districts, and then $25,000 in interest to equal the $128,635. Expenditures for June were totaled $8,055,000, and we have $4.748 million available in suburban school funds to be expended yet.
Questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second. We'll vote. Item passes. Thank you. We'll just keep going. Next item, item 5, is approve new projects to be added to the program implementation plan to fully utilize the remaining Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public School sales tax funds from the OC MAPS Program Contingency Fund. Lance?
Several months ago, we've been monitoring the available balance that we thought was, would conservatively be available for additional projects, accounting for all the outstanding projects that we have right now, any change orders that might occur on those, administrative funds, and expenditures and other expenditures that we anticipate between now and the end of the program. We came up with a figure that's presented to you today is $5.1 million that we felt comfortable could be expended on additional projects. Over the years, MAP staff have kept a list of items that either were value engineered out of projects or things that had been requested by the school district, and we provided them with a list of approximately, I think it was 14 items, totaled over $12 million to them several months ago. And Mr. Clowers, I think, was part of a meeting with the school district and city managers, talked about how those funds would be expended. And the school district reviewed that list and came back to us with the 5 prioritized projects that you see right here, and they totaled the amount that we told them that was available. So this was ratified by the Board of Education, and then we're now bringing it to you for your review and approval today.
Yes, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
I'm not comfortable with these projects starting until later on. Are these at the end of the line, these projects?
Were they excuse me?
At the end of the line? Will they be when will they be started? These 5 right here.
They will be started. I know the first thing that we're going to do is go out with a request for architects on the Chavez project.
So we're starting these right now?
No, sir. The next thing that will happen is that the staff will revise the program implementation plan to add these projects, which will then include a time frame on them. And my guess is that they will be at the end, because we haven't even started there hadn't been any design started or anything. We'll have to select architects and engineers to do that work. So
That'll all have to
you
come
will
back
see,
before you.
you will see a revised PIP come back to you.
I understand that. I'm just saying we've got this surplus, and are we ahead of ourselves about promising this extra $5 million to the schools? Or is it a guess? Or is it, how solid are we on that number?
No, I think staff's pretty firm on the numbers that we gave the school district.
We're comfortable with it. We've gone through all of the projects that we have outstanding, and we have reserved an amount back that we feel comfortable on all those projects, and we're closely monitoring those in-house with our staff to make sure we don't exceed those dollar amounts on those projects.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Lance, we have project contingencies for every project that's still in construction, and we have program contingency for the overall program that we've held back.
So that contingency is not in this number?
No.
This is the amount that we feel conservatively that is available to dedicate towards additional projects at this time.
Do we have any other contingencies out there? Contingent expenses? We promise anything else to anybody?
No, not other than the projects that we currently have under construction right now.
I guess, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Chair. Go.
Well, I do know that there were other projects that things were valued, engineered out.
Yeah.
I do know, for example, the stadium projects, there were some things that we wanted to do that we weren't able to. Now, I don't question these priorities, but perhaps, it would be wise to wait a bit before we committed all the funds. I kind of share that concern. With Chavez, I think we're kind of a victim of our own success. That school is bursting at the seams, and, I would agree with the priorities of these funds, but I also kind of question the timing. It seems a bit premature to me.
Go ahead, Claudia.
So one question is, I would like to better understand the process by which they prioritize these projects and determine that if we do have excess funds, these are the projects, again, in order of priority. So what was the process for that? Because I know there are other school projects out there where we weren't able to fund everything and some pretty serious needs, and just understanding why this was selected over some of the others.
I can't really speak to that because we weren't involved in that process. We provided a list that was far in excess of what you see before you, and the school district came back as this being their recommended projects to expense the balance of the funds.
Would it be helpful if we brought you back the list of projects that was considered?
I think it would be helpful if you brought the list of projects that were considered that we submitted, but I'd also think it would be helpful for someone from the school district to come and just talk to us about their thought process on, again, how they went through determining what was their criteria for determining this final recommendation.
We can do that at the next meeting.
Mr. Clowes, I'm sensing some bit of unreadiness, so can we strike this agenda item or move to table it?
You want to defer it to the next meeting? Okay.
Do I need a motion for that, Francis? Okay. May I have a motion to defer this item, please?
Move for the item.
Second.
Okay. We'll vote. Okay. Motion to defer passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is change orders. We have several here. I don't know if we can approve them all together. Do we need to take them independently? Independent, okay. The first change order is item A, to approve the architectural services contract amendment number 1 with Howard and Associates, Inc. for Prairie Queen Elementary School. It's a fee increase of $9,701. This is project ES00054, excuse me, 0054.
So this is an amendment. It's amendment number 1 to the architectural services contract with Howard and Associates. It's primarily due to extended duration on the project. It's required for several things, and those are outlined in that paragraph, but they include kitchen equipment, finish modifications, cafeteria, floor modifications. Another item that I want to point out in the next paragraph, that there was a previous change order that included a $14,779 amount in that. It was related to a design error on electrical service. And so what we have done is we have received a credit from the architect for that amount due to that design error. So the actual amount of the fee increase was $24,480, and we've backed out that credit due to that design error, and that provides you with the actual increase that you'd be approving here today of $9,701.
A design error,
Yes,
$20,000 error?
$14,779.
That's what it costs on the project?
Yes, that was the actual change order amount of the design error.
Okay.
So we're recouping the full amount that we incurred as a design error as part of this action today.
Any other questions? May I have a motion to approve this change order, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll vote. Motion passes. Next item is item 6B, recommend the Board of Education of Independent School District Number 89 approve amendment number 4 to contract for architectural services with LWPB Architecture for Northeast Academy for Health Sciences and Engineering. This is a fee increase of $38,728. This is project EB0015.
This is a fee increase that's related to the design for an additional project that's required at Northeast. It's based upon Fire Marshal's request for additional scope to the project to address life safety issues in the basement areas of the project. So when we had to go out with an additional project at this site, we require an additional design amount for this architectural contract to cover this additional contract that we're bidding on this project.
Okay.
Yes, Anthony.
Okay, I want to make sure that I'm understanding the agenda item. The architectural contract is to be increased by $38,000 for a project that is estimated to be $195,000.
Yes. He might speak to some more details on that.
Not only is it for the additional work to be completed, but there are some fees in here for extended construction administration time on the current project.
Didn't we do one of those already?
We have. We extended it through July, and now this also extends us through October.
Okay, now I remember that the first one was, an extension because the asbestos was found, and so the contractor had to move out, and so we had to extend the architectural contract because the architect had not identified the asbestos that caused the delay for the contractor. I'm just wondering, this is like a 20% of the project cost. It seems a bit excessive.
I can speak about the extended construction administration. Before, yes, that's correct, we ran into some asbestos that caused the whole project to be delayed. This time, we're running into some water infiltration problems. The district put a new roof on the building. After that, we still had water infiltration, pretty much stopped finishes, installation of floors, all the finishes. Since then, the district's come back and done some exterior work on the masonry to seal it so that finally the water stopped leaking into the building so we can resume. And that's this extended not general conditions, but construction administration that we're paying for here. So what this is, it's approximately, it's $7,000 per month to the architect to do their construction administration. And I think what this included in this amendment is the month of August, September, October, or a part of August, September, October. So it's approximately $20,000 in CA. So that would leave approximately $18,000 to design the closing out of the basement areas, fire marshal requirements.
Okay, and again, I don't question that the architect's time was extended. It seems to me, though, that the time was extended because of something the architect should have identified. The percentage of the project cost that I'm concerned about may be a bit of a misunderstanding on my part, because if the $195,000 estimate of the project that's being paid for by MAPS is only part of the construction administration that the architect is doing for partial work that would be paid for by the school district, that's somewhat understandable. But if it's totally just for this $195,000 project, that seems excessive.
It's not, though.
Okay, so,
It's split between extended construction administration and for the new project.
Yes, Claudia?
So based on what you said, 18,000 is related to the 195, approximately 18,000 is related to the $195,000 project.
That is correct.
Which puts it at about a 10%.
Not quite.
Almost 10% cost of the project.
And it is expensive because we have asked the architect to, typically the architect goes through and just says, seal off this space or seal off that space, kind of as a blanket in a hole. But we've asked him to identify every single opening and mark that on the plan so there will be no questions once it comes bid day. And for that, he's spending a lot more time out there than he normally would. This is a dirt floor crawl space under the existing building. It's not a basement that you're thinking of. It is a very large area under the building. It's tens of thousands of square feet, if not hundreds, that the fire marshal he considers it to be an area that fire can spread. It's dirt floor. It's not a usable space, but we're still having to go through there and sprinkle it and put in fire separation walls to keep fire from drafting through the crawl space of this building. This is an area that our architect none of us even knew about during design. I mean, you've got to go through some pretty tight spaces to get to it. So he's requiring us to sprinkle certain portions of it. But yes, a portion of it will be sprinkled.
Are there any other schools that have that similar situation?
Not that I'm aware of.
it's 4 feet roughly.
Oh, no, there's areas that's 12 foot. There's 12 foot of headroom clearance. It's 12 foot of space. Dirt floor. And then there's areas of it that have some rough concrete areas, and
They might challenge that. Seems like that seems excessive to me, but not.
We're not sprinkling the entire crawl space area.
Okay.
It's only a portion of it where there appears to be some personnel activity. So some of the school staff is going down there.
I would just invite my fellow trustees to visit Northeast and see what we're talking about here. The space that we're talking about, you cannot miss it if you go down those stairs. I mean, you can smell it first off. But it's a very large open space that, as far as you can see under the stairs and up under the building, is a dirt floor open space. Now, I was not aware that caused a fire hazard, but it certainly has caused the drainage issues that I talked to this trust about earlier, that are ruining the new carpet and the new cabinetry and everything else that has been installed by the MAS program. $195,000 will not address that problem. Now, I question if, again, the school board is taking that on, and what we're approving here is the architectural work to identify what the school board needs to do. I'm good with that. But
I don't believe
This is still bond funds.
that is correct.
The whole,
administered by,
the A&E too is bond funds.
But what this is for, this is not to address the water infiltration for the school. The district has come to the table and said that they are addressing that. And based on my observation, they have excavated some questionable areas around the school and added some waterproofing. So I do know that they are working to stop that water infiltration. What you're seeing here before you today does not address that. This is only to put fire separation walls in the crawl space, approximately every 12,000 square feet. The building code requires that it be areas smaller than 12,000 square feet. And then it is to add the sprinkler fire suppression in areas that the fire marshal deems are occupiable portions of the crawl space. And then last of all, one thing that I haven't heard it mentioned here today is we are going to refinish the gym floor, and that cost is included in this. It's approximately $30,000 or $40,000.
Included in 195?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Claudia?
I would just recommend, if we can, for purposes of documentation, I think it would be helpful to make sure that we outline that of this $38,720, that a portion of that is for a contract extension related to the original project. Just because if anyone were looking at this, it does look to be quite excessive
It does.
compared to the $195,000. And given the fact that that's not the case, I think it would be helpful to just reflect that in our documentation.
I think that's an excellent point. Thank you, Claudia. Anthony?
I'm done.
Okay. Are there any other questions by trustees? I'll entertain a motion, please.
I'll move approval.
We're waiting on you, Anthony.
Good.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second Anthony.
Okay, we'll vote. Motion passes. Item 6C is approve change order number 7 for Spencer Elementary School, increase of $11,480. This is project ES 0065. Lance?
The one item on this change order for Spencer Elementary is access control hardware in the amount of $11,480. It was not included in the original construction documents. Project contingency is available for this funds, and the final completion date of the project's October 10th. This is a substantially complete project, and this is essentially the outstanding item that stands in the way of finishing this project.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, good. Motion already. Is there a second? Second.
We have enough.
We'll vote. The motion passes. Item 6D is to approve change order number 6 for Belle Isle Middle School. This is an increase of $24,027.31. This is project ES 0048. Lance?
This project, this is a complete project. This is the final change order that we'll have for this project. The next action will be to receive the project. I do want to point out that in the contract time section of this memo, it references that the contractor had until September 16th to complete the punch list items. This was docketed on a previous trust meeting that was canceled, and those punch items have been completed, and everything has been completed on this project. The item number 1 was a window revision, $15,113. Ventilator infill, item number 4. Those were 4 wall-mounted ventilators in classrooms where they were removed as part of the project, and we had to cosmetically go in there and fix those. A gas line relocation that came up in the process of the project. And then item number 9 is a site cleanup credit. We have an additional drainage project that we bid on this, items that came up drainage related that were outside of the 10%, it would have put us over the 10%, so we bid another project. This project included some sodding and some site cleanup items that we don't need because the second contract to take care of those, so we've deducted those from this. So that's a deduct item on number 9.
Are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll vote. Motion passes. Next item is item 6E. This is to approve change order number 7 for Jefferson Middle School. This is an increase of $56,687.78. This is project ES 0071. Thanks.
This project's 90% complete. The first item, bollards and fence, was a fire marshal's request. I guess it's a new item that they're requiring now, bollards around the fire department connection where the fire department would go up and connect to the building, the standpipes in case of a fire. We now have to protect those with bollards, I guess, from vehicles and running into them. So that's that item's number 1. Item number 5 are wall modifications, $21,472. There are 12 walls to where when the mullions or the framing around the windows were replaced, that there was a gap between the mullion and the wall, and for sound purposes throughout the building, we're going in and repairing those gaps that were existed between when they replaced the window mullions. Item number 11 is emergency gas shutoff controls. There were 7 classrooms that were outside of the original science classrooms that were outside of the original scope of our contract that were added to the scope of the contract. And when that happened, we put the gas lines run into the classrooms. We now require emergency gas shutoffs, and so that needs to be added to the scope of the project. Item number 13, stage floor refinishing at the district's request. We're refinishing the floor. Total of 4.43% over the original contract date, and the revised completion date's November 11th.
Questions? If not, entertain a motion, please.
Move approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We'll vote. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is item 6F. This is to approve change order number 3 for Rogers Middle School. This is an increase of $72,904, project ES0068.
This project's 35% complete, and the item number 1, the largest item, is a gymnasium roof replacement. We've replaced the gym floor as part of this project, and due to leaks that have become progressively worse since the beginning of the project, we're now having damage to the gym floor.
Oh, gosh.
And so we're going to go and replace that gymnasium roof to protect the new gym floor that we just put in. Yes?
He's being funny.
Item number 3 is a diffuser replacement. Existing slot diffusers in the administration area need to be replaced to coordinate with the new ceiling grid so it looks proper in there. And item number 8, mechanical system upgrade. These are basically filters, strainers and filters as part of the chiller system. And when we went in, the system wasn't working properly, and we went in to examine what was the situation. There was 36 of these strainers and cartridges that needed replaced. So we're going in and replacing these as part of this project to get the chiller up and properly functioning. It's 3.8% over the original contract amount, and we request your approval on this.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay. We'll vote. Motion passes. Next item is item 6G, approve change order number 4 for Taft Middle School, increase of $431,694, project ES0070.
This is a rather substantial amount here of $431,000, but I want to point out that change order number 1 was a deduct change order that totaled $318,000, and that actually had $370,000 in value engineering items that came out in addition to some items that were added to that change order. So the net on that was a decrease of $318,000. That was done in advance of when we got into the project. We knew there were some items that were going to be coming down the road, and we basically had to make room inside of the project for these items that came up. So item number 4, ceiling repairs in the existing ceiling corridor. There was patched and painted due to previous water damage and some construction activities that had occurred outside of the scope of our project. So we're going to go in and address those. The big item, the second floor roof replacement, similar deal to the last one we just talked about. We are doing finishes and putting finishes in the project that were being damaged by this roof that needed replaced. So we're going to do the second floor roof replacement on the project. Gymnasium roof repairs, pretty much the same situation. We're going in, reprioritizing. Once we got into the project, kind of saw what was in there, putting a roof on the gym to protect the finishes there too. So we request your approval on this.
And what is the percentage of completion on this particular
It's
project?
about 65%. And this right now puts us at 4.91% over. So we're about just shy of halfway through the 10%. And we're expecting that we'll be right up bumping the 10% limit on this project. So.
Any other questions of trust? We've got to replace the roof.
Yeah.
Sounds like it doesn't pass.
I move to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we'll vote. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is to approve change order number 4 from Emerson Alternative School, a decrease of $814,218.88. This is project ES 0079.
I think most of you are familiar with some of the challenges that we've run into at Emerson. As part of the excavation for the new expanded part of the site, we discovered the remains of the original building that burned in the early part of the century, of the last century actually. And it included utility chases that had asbestos in them, and it was just one thing after another. So the decision has been made to split this project into 2 phases. We're going to go ahead and construct the new portion of the facility that was in the plans, along with a few changes that have to be made to the existing building to support that new addition. So that's going to be the portion of the existing contract that we're going to keep. That project's about 5% complete. We're just getting started in that because of all the delays and things that happened with the things we found in the excavation for the project. The second project is about 15% designed, and we'll be bringing that back to you for, review of those plans once that second project's going to have to come back through you for approval. So
Will that project come as a change order or as a new project?
it's going to be as a new project.
Separately bid and everything?
Excuse me?
Separately bid?
Yes.
What's the point of the second project?
The asbestos, Todd could probably speak to the details of this. I think some of the asbestos that we really found that was in the underground buried part of the chase, that is going to be addressed as part of the existing project, isn't it?
We're currently about a year behind schedule on that. That's how, due to the federal, we had 3 major occurrences happen. We had a federal-owned building on the site that delayed us for about 6 months before we could get it moved off-site. We had a sanitary sewer line active that was public that we had to relocate around our building. And the latest, as Lance told you, we found the remains of the existing basement and steam tunnel. So with all those things on the board, we're approximately a year behind. If we were to pay the contractor extended general conditions because he hasn't been on site, we would hit our 10% in no time flat, especially whenever we get into the renovation of the existing building. Every time, it seems like you all have seen it, as we open up these walls, we run into termite damage. And so if we go into the renovation setting at 8 or 9% change order limit, we've hurt ourselves. So it's staff's recommendation that we pull that renovation out of the project, bid it separately so that we can have more capacity for change orders. So when we get into that building, we know we're going to hit asbestos, we know we're going to hit termites, we know we're going to hit a bunch of unknown conditions that that we can't even anticipate.
So you're building the new part but not renovating later?
The majority of the project is the addition.
Majority? The
majority is, correct. The renovation is approximately $1.5 million project, where this is I think this is about a $5 million total project. So you're looking at about 3.5 new, $1.5 million renovation.
So the $814,000 is not increasing in the contingency. It's being pulled for a separate project for later. Is that correct?
We're pulling it out of this project, and we're going to put that into a separate project fund and bid it separately.
So it's not adding to the $5.1 million?
No, ma'am, it is not. It basically takes this to a $3-4 million project.
Architectural fee split as well?
Yeah, I think we already did a architectural amendment for this work.
Okay.
That I can't recall, but there has been one at least drafted, if not already approved.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second. We'll vote. Okay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is to, I'm sorry, we finished all the change orders. This is, item 7 is to accept the Thelma R. Parks Elementary School project and place the maintenance bond into effect. This is project ES0047. Next.
It's good news, this project's complete, and we bring it forward to you for acceptance.
Is there a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't see you, Anthony. Go
I
ahead.
will move approval,
Okay.
Second.
and I have some discussion. I would like to recognize the presence of the greatest high school guidance counselor in the history of the Oklahoma City Public School District and the namesake of Thelma Parks Elementary School, who is here. And Ms. Parks, we're accepting the first project at your school, and then we're about to do the gym later.
We'll need to vote. Thank you, Anthony. Motion passes. Nice to see you, Mrs. Park. Next item is item 8, concurrent items. 8A is concurrent item with Independent School District number 89 and approving change orders number 5. This is I-89, 2007 school bond issue project S70002, classrooms and/or gymnasiums at Wheeler, West Nichols Hills, Monroe, and Nichols Hill Elementary. This is an increase of $38,988. Next.
Okay, on this project, what we've got is, I'll just tell you a little bit about the project before we get into the details of the change order. This is one of the school bond projects where we function as the administrator for the school district on these projects, unlike the Master Kids sales tax projects or even the 2000 bond projects. And on this, it was bid as a package, and we had 4 different schools involved. The project at Wheeler Elementary School is substantially complete. Monroe is substantially complete. And work at Nichols Hills Elementary that was related to the original siting of the gym. You remember, this is the one where we've relocated the gym. So, but there was some work that was done on site to clean up some of the original site, and that work is substantially complete. At West Nichols Hills, we're about 30% complete with that portion of the project. So the Nichols Hills gym, I just want to point out, this is the one where the gym was pulled out and was rebid, and bids were actually received this morning on that project and are being evaluated at this time. So what I'm talking about here has to do with those portions of the other portions of the project, excluding the Nichols Hills gym. So. Item number 1 is a storm sewer and parking lot relocation on the West Nichols Hills Elementary. And basically, this was proposed in the original plans, the storm sewer renovation that went through the parking lot, and then upon further consideration, it was not the optimal way to do that. So that's what this is related to, the parking lot relocation of that storm sewer. Floor revision, we had an issue which we had at some schools where we have excessive moisture, that we just can't get the moisture out of the floor, so we have to go back in and put a subfloor under there. So that's what that is. So those are the 2 items on there, but this felt needed a little more explanation. So
Any
ask for your
questions
approval.
from trust, concerns? Not, I entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll vote. Motion passes. Item 8B, this is to receive the Consultative Review Committee report and concur with the Independent School District number 89 and authorizing negotiation of an architectural service contract with Richard L. Calvin Architect PC, doing business as the Calvin Design Group for I-89 2007 school bond issue project S70008, gymnasiums at Lee, Britton, Arthur, Thelma Parks, and Willowbrook Elementary Schools. Thanks.
This is receiving the report from the team that evaluated the proposals, and we just want to get this project going and authorize negotiation with Cabin Design Group. We'll bring this back to you once we've negotiated a contract.
Any questions? Not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and second, we'll vote. Motion passes. Mr. Clowes, do you have anything for us, sir?
I do. I have a little bit of information, Madam Vice Chair. We have 19 schools that are in construction in the Map for Kids projects. 6 of those are nearing completion. Those are at Prairie Queen, Arthur, Capitol Hill, and Rockwood Elementaries, and then Jefferson Middle School and Northeast Academy. As far as the I-89 2007 bond projects, there are 18 under construction. These are classrooms and gyms at Wheeler, Monroe, West Nichols Hills, Parmalee, Hillcrest, Pierce, Adams, Bodine, Horseman, Kaiser, Mark Twain, Putnam Heights, Southern Hills, Stanwady, Buchanan, Gatewood, Johnston, and Oak Ridge Elementaries. As you probably know, construction has started on both stadiums, Taft and Spiegel Stadium, and you just approved the negotiation with the architect that was selected on the gyms and classrooms at Lee, Britton, Arthur, Thelma Parks, and Willowbrook. We hope to bring, that was approved by the board on the 16th. You approved it today, and concurrence will be on the council agenda next Tuesday on the 1st of October. Final plans and specs for Heronville, Fillmore, Prairie Queen, Rockwood, and Eugene Field classrooms and gyms are nearing completion. And I think you saw that the meeting for October 1st has been canceled, so our next trust meeting will be Tuesday, October 15th at 3 p.m.
Very good. Any questions? Item 10 is supposed to be the program consultant update. I don't think he's here, right? Okay. We don't have... Okay. So we can move past item 10. Item 11, comments by trustees. Yes, sir.
To Trustee Mashburn in particular, I would note that Capitol Hill defeated U.S. Grant in football this year for the first time in many years, but I would point out that that was not held at Southside Stadium. So the dominance of U.S. Grant over Capitol Hill at Southside Stadium is intact.
We'll see what happens when Spiegel Stadium gets built. Any items from staff? Citizens? Come on up, Ms. Parks. It's nice to see you.
To the members of this board, I want to personally thank you for all the things that you do for the students in the Oklahoma City Public Schools. I have been asked several times, Dunbar, which is in my district, was closed, and the question constantly is asked me, what did they do with the funds? Because MAPS approved a $3.2 million renovation project. If I could get the answer to that, then I would not be stopped on the streets or at the parks or wherever I am and say, what happened to that money? So at your leisure, please let me have an answer so I can take back to them. I do want to thank you for approving the Thelma R. Parks project today. There are questions that the constituents continually ask me about the gymnasium. When will that be completed, or is that a part of the Thelma R. Parks project? And if so, is it scheduled soon? Because we have some challenged students at that school, and they need the physical activities that could provide for the improvement of their health. And so if I could get an answer on that, I would be very pleased, and I could pass it on to those persons.
Ms. Parks, that was the gym at Thelma Parks Elementary. This body approved negotiation for an architectural engineering contract today. As soon as that goes to council, we'll proceed with the negotiations for that contract. My guess is by the time we get a contract negotiated and the design is done, we're probably about a year away from construction. That sound reasonable? So maybe in the fall of 2014, we might see some construction beginning on that project.
I would be happy to pass that information on to the citizens of Oklahoma City. And then the last thing that I have here is, I asked about the funds. What happened to the funds that,
For Dunbar.
Dunbar.
Can we get staff to look into that before I get back to her? Okay. We'll have staff research that for you, Mrs. Park, and get you an answer.
I didn't understand.
We'll have staff
Okay.
look into it for you and call you and get you an answer on that, on what happened to the Dunbar funds.
Okay. Well, that concludes my little comments, and I do appreciate your allowing me to ask questions about questions that are being asked me that I cannot answer at this particular time. Continue to do the good work that you do. And thank you, Mr. Francisco, for that comment.
Thank you, Mrs. Park. And for those that may not know, that Mrs. Parks will be inducted in the Oklahoma Hall of Educators. I think that's is that correct? The induction?
I will be inducted, yes,
This Friday.
in the Oklahoma Educators.
Hall of Fame. Congratulations. If there is no more comments, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.